Welcome back, everybody. This Week in America, website thisweekinamerica.us. Great to have you with us on the program today. A native of Hyde Park, Utah, Sid Perkes retired after a 36-year career as a scene and costume designer, play director, administrator, and teacher of theater arts, and returned to his two old loves, writing and painting. He has had paintings on exhibition, and Lettie is his first novel. That's what we'll be talking about in the program today. Sid received numerous honors during his career in theater, including first place in the first United States Institute of Theater Technology Nation Scene Design Competition, the American College Theater Festival's Gold Medallion for Excellence in Theater, presented by the John F. Kennedy Center for Performing Arts, and the 1999 Governor's Award for Arts and Education in Utah. Sid designed sets and or costumes for more than 300 productions throughout the West and Midwest, including sets for professional productions of Porgy and Bess, Oliver, and How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying. Sid Perkes joining us on the program to talk about his novel, Lettie. Sid, a pleasure to have you on the program. Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
That is a real career that you've had in the visual arts, and you've said that despite all of that, you still felt there were some limitations. You really wanted to get back to the two loves that I mentioned, painting, which we'll talk about towards the end of the program, and writing, like you did with the first novel, Lettie. What was it about the theater arts that you were fulfilled but not totally fulfilled?
Well, as a designer, you cannot use light as a set designer, as a costume designer. You have to design costumes and sets that accept and change with the moods of the plays. For example, the street scene where Scrooge is going home on Christmas Eve, the dirty, grungy, dark place.
Oh, yes.
That's the same set as Christmas morning.
Interesting.
Which is, just how you have to design things that accept and change with the light. You don't use light. So that's what I missed with painting is I like to use light a lot.
Well, yes, and you've said that writing has always been a passion. In fact, you took creative writing as an undergrad. What is it, and we'll talk specifically about the art form of writing here, what is it about writing that really got you excited as a young man?
Being able to explore and let characters take you where they want to go, not where you want to go.
You know, it's interesting. How difficult is it to do that? Sometimes you talk to authors and they sit down and they've got sort of this preconceived idea and they write the characters to mold to that idea. Yet you talk to others, and I think this is the way that you work. You sort of like sit down with sort of a broad interpretation of who these people are, and you sort of follow where it goes on a sort of a natural basis.
Yes, I let them tell me.
Well, let's talk specifically about the book Lettie.
Okay.
Tell me a little bit about what you like to write. Historical fiction. You write about places, rural life, sort of based on your life growing up in a smaller town. Talk about the setting for Lettie. What are we talking about for this book?
All right. I was going to meetings in southwestern Idaho. Coming back, the first town you hit in Utah is Snowville on the very north side. And then about 50 miles to the south is Tremont. And that's, but all that area up in there is high valleys and dry farm. They plant in the fall, and they rely on winter moisture to bring it up. And by the time I saw them, there was nobody living there. They went up to harvest and to plant,
Yes.
But this, on the way back, about 15 or 20 miles south of Snowville in this top mountain, I saw this house. But it had a windmill, it had a root cellar, it had, corrals, it had fences, and I knew that somebody lived there year-round. It wasn't just a place to go up and harvest and plant. And I thought, well, I wonder what the life would have been like there. But I couldn't go back to it. The house was built around 1900. I couldn't go back that far because I can't relate. So I went back to just post-Depression, World War II time, because the house was in good enough shape. I knew it hadn't been abandoned for, about 50 or 80 years,
Yes.
So I put Lettie in the summer kitchen, canning jam, and saw what happened. A summer kitchen is, on the farm we had one, that's out the back door, there's a little room behind. It is where you go in the summer, and you can can food, and you can heat water for the washing machine, because you don't have to heat up the house with a coal stove.
Right.
It's all outside. So I was doing that. And excuse me. And a little later, when I developed a lot of exposition, someone who was helping me, Josie, who was giving me ideas, said, "You've got to have a hook." So I went back and had Lettie going to the house with some milk, dreading what was coming. So, and then I let it go from there.
We're talking about the book Lettie. That's the first novel by our guest on the program, Sid Perkes. Perkes is spelled Perkes. The book is available at Amazon.com. The publisher is American Star Books. You can go there, put in Sid's information, and get information on the book. And you can also link on directly by going to our website, thisweekinamerica.us. So when you see this farm setting, it wasn't just a farm setting you saw, it's a potential story, a story that had to be told. From the time that you saw that and you decided, I would like to write about this, how long did it take to form the story of Lettie?
Probably it took over a year or so, but that was to allow it to develop. I know, since I grew up on a farm, and I did milk cows by hand, I knew what she needed to be self-sufficient. Excuse me. She needed a cow, chickens, a garden, and,
Yes. When you sat down to write the story, was there a rough draft that you used, or how did you get the story started, and then how did you continue the story?
Well, I started with her in the summer kitchen canning jam, and then just let it happen. I did not have an outline.
So
I didn't know who she married, or I didn't know any of that.
So when you started, as you're writing it, you are as surprised and following the story as we are when we read it, because it sort of happened organically for you as well.
Yes.
Is that one of the joys of writing, why you enjoy writing so much, the creative aspect of just sort of letting it go where it goes?
Yes. A lot of my paintings are just out of my head. I don't have any picture or anything to draw from. I just paint them.
When you finished Lettie, what kind of response have you been getting? What I have seen is very favorable response, a very strong character, a strong female character, going through a lot at the time. What kind of response are you getting for Lettie?
It's died down because nobody knows about it anymore. So I hope this does something to bump it up so people go read it.
Well, it is a fascinating story, and I talk about Lettie, a strong character. Describe a little bit, without giving too much away, who Lettie is and the struggles that she goes through, because life is a series of struggles for her.
Yes, it is. I put Lettie as a husky farm woman who really can take care of herself, and then later on I went back to the childhood, and this is where she met Alvin, and this is, I filled in her background, and then how they got married, and they didn't build the ranch. After the Depression, a lot of people left, so they bought the ranch and went out there, but then, as you know, Alvin had his own little problem. He went, and he couldn't go to Snowville because there was a gas station there and a grocery store. There was no bars. There was no place to go drinking, so he'd have to go south.
What kind of research did you have to do for this? This is a time when you were familiar with this time?
Yes. I was around during World War II. I was a kid, a little kid, but I was around. So no, I drew from my life on the farm.
So the best research is you were there, you lived it, and family members lived it. So that makes it makes it very authentic because it's coming fresh from your mind. You say that you often write to answer a question. Talk about that, and what question were you looking into with Lettie?
Well, how did she survive? What was life like out in the middle of nowhere? That was basically it.
The book we're talking about is called Lettie. The author of the book is Sid Perkes, Perkes. Book's available at Amazon.com. Information, of course, available at the publisher, American Star Books. Get information on the book by putting in Sid's information. And you go to our website, thisweekinamerica.us, and put in the log on directly to go to the website to find out more of the book. How long did it take you to actually write the book where you thought, okay, I've done justice to this, I'm ready now to go to the publisher?
Probably about 1.5 years, 2 years.
Is that a difficult process, knowing when it's over that, okay, I've gone back, I've reread it, I've rewritten it in parts, and now it's ready?
Yes. It's not that difficult, but it is a long process because you have to determine, everything that happened out there. By the time Alvin is gone, she's on her own. She has to survive, and I could do it.
Yeah, I keep mentioning strong woman, and that is exactly the case as you read about the lead character, Lettie. Talk about what you would like people to walk away from after they've read the book. What's the takeaway that you would like to have them experience?
I think people can have to make their own decisions about that. Some people don't like the ending. They thought I should wrap it up totally rather than leaving it a little bit in the air. I get a lot of different responses. A lot of people like it, and a lot of people have. When I ask them what happened, they come up with 4 or 5 different answers, and that's how they interpreted the book.
And I guess that's good. You leave it out there, and people can use their own creative processes to determine what they're taking away from it and how the book ends.
In that book, yes. In Silent Passing, no, I didn't do that.
Well, and Silent Passing is the other book that you've written. And again, information's available at Amazon as well as Amazon Star Books. Let's talk about that briefly.
America Star Books.
Yeah, America Star Books. I'm sorry. Talk about Silent Passing. This again is done in that about that same time frame?
No, it's a
little later, right? Yeah, 1940s.
There was a man who, when I was a little boy, a man who lived across the street, who was distantly related to me, but he was very, very distant with everybody. He didn't do much of any interaction. And I just wondered what would happen if the kid and the old man met. So I put the kid coming down the street on some roller skates, those old metal roller skates.
Oh, yes.
with the cracks in the sidewalk spread and twisted all. And he trips and falls and knocks himself out. And the old man is going out to get milk cans from the block out front, where he puts them in. The milkman picks them up, and he sees the kid and takes him in the house to help him before he goes over and gets his mother. And things develop from there. They develop a friendship. He starts to drive the old man's cows to pasture and this sort of thing.
So once again, this is from memory. When I'm reading about 11-year-old Andy and Charlie, the old farmer, these are actually you and somebody you recall from that stage of your life.
No, because Andy is older than I was, but I do recall Charlie.
Yes. And that book is called Silent Passing. Our guest on the program is Sid Perkes, Perkes. The books are available at Amazon, America's Star Books as well. And you can go to our website, thisweekinamerica.us, and link on directly to get that information. A couple of minutes left in the program. It's interesting the fascination you've had all through your life with writing and with painting. And you say that you're continuing to explore both. In terms of writing, do you find yourself, are you still growing as a writer, do you think?
Well, I just submitted my third book. It should be accepted sometime this week if it is accepted.
Oh, great.
And I've had some health issues, so I haven't got another one going right now. But I got to get back to painting and writing.
Yeah, and talk about writing. I mentioned that you've had some of the paintings on display, and I know that you taught at a small Catholic college in Wisconsin, and some of the paintings that were noteworthy have been of nuns, sort of captured in a different way.
Well, when I was teaching there, I lived down the street on the top of the hill from the campus, which was down by the river or the lake, was the nunnery, where they lived.
Yes.
And I had to go home past it when I went home for dinner at night, and that was usually the time when nuns were going to down to chapel. And I could tell by the carriage of their bodies, by how much interaction they were doing, what kind of service they were going to, whether it was solemn or whether it was joyful. And so when I paint nuns, I'm painting a group dynamic.
It's fascinating work, and our guest in the program has been Sid Perkes, and that's Perkes. What an amazing career, an award-winning career that he has had as a scene designer, costume designer, stage director, department head, administrator, a teacher, an author, an artist. The book we're talking about specifically on today's program is Lettie, Lettie. And the second book that we discussed is Silent Passing. Sid, it's been a pleasure to have you on the program. Again, information, they can go to the publisher or go to Amazon to get information on the books. And hopefully you hear some good news, and please share that with us on the third book being published. We'd love to have you on to talk about it.
Pardon?
We'd love to have you on to talk about it. So good luck with the third book out there for hopefully will be picked up and published. And congratulations on an excellent job with Lettie and Silent Passing. Thank you for being with us on the program.
You're welcome.
Once again, Sid Perkes, our guest on the show, Perkes. Information available at Amazon. You can log on directly and link on with Sid's information at thisweekinamerica.us.